Hello, my name's Juliette Locke. I'm a chiropractor at the practice in Thame. A number of us over the last few weeks have found ourselves working from home. I just wanted to talk a little bit about things we can consider to make working from home a bit more comfortable. I would group these into three main categories. The first one would be movement, the second section would be workstation, and the third section we can talk about is exercise. The first section, movement, is basically fairly obvious. You need to get up, you need to change positions. Ideally, you're trying to do this every 30 to 45 minutes. So whether it's been that you've been sat down, working at your computer, get up, move around, change positions, you're trying to remodel the body so you're moving it in a different way to how you have been moving it. So if you've been sat over your computer, get up, move around, extend the back, move the shoulders, move the neck, move your legs. If you want to do 10 or 20 star jumps, that's even better. The second consideration would be workstation. A lot of us are finding ourselves working perhaps perched on a kitchen stool, on a kitchen work surface, or maybe with the laptop balanced on our knees in bed, or maybe even on a stiff dining chair and table, as I'm finding myself at the moment. But the main thing really is to try and get a bit more support throughout the spine so the spine can work a bit more from neutral. And then the idea with neutral spine is you're distributing the forces a bit more evenly through those three curves of the spine, so the neck, the shoulders and the lumbar spine. So I'm just going to use my glamorous assistant to reiterate this point. So a lot of us find ourselves working in this position where we're stooped over, head and neck forwards, a lot of load going through into the back. What we're wanting to try and do is perhaps put the spine back into neutral. Often when I tell people to do that, they sit up for about 10 seconds and then they stoop back down again pretty soon after. What you can do is you can roll a towel up into a sausage shape and place it in the small of your back. And what that does then is it provides a bit more foundation and stability for the rest of the spine. So you probably then want to slide the chair a bit more under the table, so you're a bit closer, that's it, lovely. And then the shoulders and the neck fall a bit more back into neutral. What it also does is it raises the head height, which raises the eye height. So you want to try and move the monitor so that the screen is in the top third of your eye gaze. So this would probably be a little bit low at the moment. I would recommend maybe a separate monitor, or if you did raise the laptop up, a separate keyboard and mouse, just to support the wrists and the forearms at a better angle. So a number of us now moved our workstation perhaps outdoors. You may find yourself doing a lot more gardening than you've normally done. What that does mean is that you end up using muscles you haven't perhaps worked for a while. Digging's great, raking's great, mowing the lawn's great, but they all use the muscles in slightly different ways, which is why it's really important to mix up what you're doing. So rather than a whole day of digging, try and just keep it to sort of 45 minutes and then move over to raking. Try and think about whether you're just using one side of your body when you're doing the action or whether you can do the action both sides. So the third section I wanted to talk a little bit about was some exercises that will maybe help ease aches and pains. The first thing you can do is you can stand up, put your hands onto your head, feet a little bit further apart, that's it, and push your elbows back. And then you're basically going to just lean to the side and hold that position for 30 seconds. And then repeat the same thing on the other side for 30 seconds. And this can be done sort of 2 or 3 times a day, just to ease up the tension down the side of the spine. The next exercise you could try is sitting on a chair. Is to pop your ankle onto your knee, lift into the core muscles, and then lean forwards. And you should just feel a gentle stretch across the buttock and maybe into the outer part of the thigh. And again, 30 seconds this side, and same, switch over, 30 seconds on the other side. The final exercise you can do, which will just ease tension across the neck and the shoulders and maybe a little into the lower back, is what yogis like to call the child's pose. So you're going to go onto the floor, you're going to push your bottom back towards your heels and drop your head between your arms and just stretch your arms away, walk your hands a little bit further away if you want to, and then to increase the stretch you can just push down through the armpits towards the floor. And again, hold this position for 30 seconds. With any of these stretches you're aiming to feel things about a 3 out of 10 in terms of tension. Anything more than that, then just back off a bit. So the progression from the stretches is to try and strengthen the spine. And we want to try and strengthen the core, the trunk, the back muscles, the pelvis sort of all together. And a really good exercise that is the plank. The starter position for the plank is with the knees on the floor. That's it. And so what you're trying to do is you're just trying to hold this posture in sort of an isometric contraction to try and get these muscles a little bit more active. From this position, once you can hold this for 30 seconds without too much of a problem, you can then progress to the full plank, where you lift your hips and your knees off the floor. You're trying to get your legs straight, legs together, and you're trying to pull those tummy muscles in so you're bracing through the core and the trunk. The aim with this, again, is to try and hold it for 60 seconds, but start off slowly, start with sort of 15 seconds and just gradually build it up. A different exercise would be the side plank. From this position, you're working one side of the body a little bit harder than the other. So let's start on the left side. The initial position can be with the knee on the floor and the leg straight, and you're lifting up through the hips. So you're working the muscles down the left-hand side of the body. You're also challenging the trunk and the core because you're trying to stabilise through the rest of the posture. These are endurance postures, so you're trying to hold them for a period of time. Once you can do the side plank with the knee down and hold it for 30 seconds, you can then progress to the full side plank. And you can see here that the hips are lifted off the ground, both feet are on top of each other, or you can alternatively have one foot slightly further forward than the other if you prefer. And this is a much more challenging position. Once you've held this position for 30 seconds on the left-hand side, you can move over and work the position on the right-hand side. So to summarise, movement is the main consideration. Every 30 to 45 minutes, change positions. Think about your star jumps in the kitchen. The second consideration was workstation. Try and think about supporting that lumbar spine so the rest of the spine has a much better foundation to work from. And the third consideration was the exercise. So have a go at those stretches, or if you're wanting to try and strengthen the spine a little bit more, try the plank or the side plank. I hope all of this makes sense. Any questions, don't hesitate to contact us at the practice. Take care, stay safe.